the reassurance actually by having boots on the street, so to speak, and having people out engaging with the community is really palpable and having the effect. And I think that's something that we have to continue. So in terms of
it's not in my county. It's the biggest issue at the moment in my county. You would have seen on the front of the tabloid papers last week, on the Joe Duffy show, because of a very, very serious incident. The front of my local paper last week, talking about crime in Meath, out of control. Out of control.
Okay.
Where a shopkeeper was beaten around the head with a glass vase by thugs. And the Mayor of Navan, Councillor Tommy Riley, 73 years of age, had to jump in to save his son in that incident. Why it is shocking is that a Garda car arrived at the scene, spoke to the thugs, and then drove off. It sparked a national debate on the front of all the national papers in this country, on the Joe Duffy show, and it is a sad state of affairs in this Houses of the Rockers and the Garda Síochána that it takes the Joe Duffy show, apparently, to solve issues. So I'm asking you to take this real, palpable sense of people feeling confident. Not in my county, not in my town. A 73-year-old man, Mayor of Navan, had to jump in to save his son. They're not there. It's not boots on the ground. We're not seeing it. The context of me asking the question is, you'll be forced with a spend of 1.5 billion, 1 billion on wages. I'm asking, is there a plan to actually see people, the people listening in really want to hear, are the guards actually on the ground doing their job?
Well, Deputy, if I give you an example, and my sympathies go to the individuals that you're talking about, and obviously it's a matter that we are looking at. But this year, since recruitment commenced, so 36 new members of Garda Síochána have gone to Meath Division. And that does not take account of the consequential transfers. As you know, there are always people looking to
retirements.
Division. Retirements as well, and that factors in the retirements. I'm not saying that and that's why we absolutely welcome the government's commitment to increasing the overall strength of the Garda members of the organisation to 15,000. Allowing for 300 retirements on average per year, that takes us time. And that's why we very much welcome, by the end of this year, we will have 800 new members of Garda Síochána, and we welcome the commitment to making sure that is there. We can't distribute everybody at the same time. We do have a plan, a distribution model, where we try to be, in terms of retirements, factoring in, I know it has become an issue in Deputy Murphy's constituents as well, but factoring in retirements, factoring in crime demands, factoring in all of those population
But there's a little point in you quoting me the statistics, and you telling me you're confident in terms of people on the street, if it's not the reality on the ground, and that proves it's not the reality on the ground. There is little point on the Garda Síochána, on my local radio station every week, and I acknowledge that, every week they're on it, detailing the crime. If they're only telling the people about the crime that's happened, and there's no follow-up. So what I'm asking is, in terms of, have you got a plan where you actually instruct your chief supers in terms of actually how many people, and getting back to that basic element of policing? I'm asking you about your style of policing. Is your style of policing, and I acknowledge policing has changed and the very intricate work that you have to do in terms of drugs and all of that, but people are afraid that the very basic element of policing, of people actually staving off these thugs that now seem to control towns like Navan or Mullingar or Thurles, because they're allowed to wander the streets and not be challenged by the force that is supposed to be protecting us. Why is it that a mother walks down the streets of my hometown in Navan and actually is afraid, because these guys seem to think that they own the streets, that these thugs can go up and beat a guy around the head with a glass vase, that guards arrive, have a chat with them and drive off, and it took the Joe Duffy show to actually implement the arrest? That's crazy.
Well, Deputy, as I say, it's a matter that we are taking up with local management. But can I just say, you asked about the style of policing. So yes, there is, as you know, there is an Assistant Commissioner in charge of the Eastern Region, there's a Chief Superintendent in charge of Meath Division, and there's a local superintendent in the various districts in the Meath Division as well, including in Trim. And yes, they are responsible for delivering local, responsive policing. When issues such as you have identified arise, they are the people with responsibility and accountability for ensuring that the measures that are in place. Our responsibility is to make sure that we equip them. On top of
but
that,
you want to know that the style of policing that they're implementing for your force is one that gives confidence to the people, that they have the confidence that they can walk down the street, and that they're not stuck in the Garda station in Navan or Mullingar and Thurles or the new one in Kevin Street. That's the point I'm asking you.
Yes, Deputy, and in terms of measuring that confidence, we have our public attitude survey survey. That is rolling on a quarterly basis.
Out of control. There's his face. That's the public attitude. Out of control. He was better on the head.
Deputy, it's a horrific crime. And there is no doubt about it. As I say, my sympathies go to the individuals involved and the family of those individuals. What we are doing is we are providing a policing service.
I appreciate that, but the journalists are capturing the public attitude. You talked to Deputy Kelly about this, and Deputy McSharry about the money you're spending on PR and making sure that the guards are not insular. But the journalists in these counties are capturing, Paul Williams is capturing the public attitude on his roadshow. And I'm just saying, are you gathering that and actually telling the style of policing that has swayed that and actually gets these guys that they don't feel they control our streets?
Absolutely.
With a spend of $1 billion on wages?
Absolutely, and part of that is the deployment of new resources. But more importantly, part of that is also a number of the initiatives that we have in place, particularly around public safety initiatives, Operation Thor, and we can provide to the committee, if you wish, Chair, the successes of Operation Thor since it was implemented, and the high visibility that it provides to make sure that we do provide that reassurance community. One crime is a crime too many, but unfortunately, as I say, we live in a society where crime is a reality, as it is in all societies. However, what we do is strive to reduce it as much as we possibly can.
On Operation Thor, and in terms of the traffic or the transport element or whatever, are you actually trying to increase and duplicate the mobile force? Because again, in my area, the traffic corps was taken from North Meath and just redeployed in South Meath, which means that one part of the county is left without an available traffic corps. So nationwide, I don't want you to focus on Meath, but nationwide, are you actually trying to increase the services or just actually strip an already stretched service?
One of the measures in our public attitude survey is visibility, and Assistant Commissioner Finn has been tasked by me with revamping not just the traffic corps but roads policing in its entirety to provide exactly the type of service that you have described. So not alone the visibility but the level of engagement. Michael, do you want to talk about that?
We're well over the time. We're over the start.
I'm aware of the reconsolidation of the traffic corps in Meath because they were scattered all over the place, and we brought them back for the moment into the one centre where we are building. We're putting extra people into traffic in there, but we need a level of supervision, and having them scattered over the place probably wasn't the most effective way. So I'm aware from talking to the Chief Superintendent of Meath that he has consolidated traffic corps to one location, but we're putting more supervision in there and more people in there, so he will have a bigger traffic corps by the end of the year, I reckon.
That's fine. The only concluding mark I have is in terms of the public attitude and the focus on public attitude or whatever, I would ask you to take away today that the people, the journalists in my county are capturing the public attitude. And if you've got a headline out of control, that's the public attitude I would ask you to take away and ensure that the style of policing is one that actually gets these thugs that they're afraid to come down the street, not the genuine people.
Okay.